can do for you and show you a demonstration. So let's get started. From an agenda standpoint, we'll do a quick introduction, which we've already done. I'll take you through our portfolio. We'll really dig deeper with Nate into Scribe Online, which is our newer online product. He'll give you a demonstration of that. We'll talk about what we're doing with some of the templates and the starter packs that we've created for you, and then we'll have a general Q&A session at the end. If you do have questions throughout the presentation or you hear things you'd like to hear more on, please, if you would, just put those into the GoToWebinar panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll just address them in a general forum at the very end of the presentation. So let's take you through a little bit. For those of you who aren't familiar with us or haven't worked with us in the past, we're Scribe Software. We're a data integration company. We've been in business for 18 years. And the premise of what we do is we integrate data. We started in the CRM space back in 1996 and have since evolved into integrating data as a whole. So whatever that data may be, maybe it's a CRM system, an ERP system, marketing automation, or various different ISV applications you may need to integrate or you may come across, we want to integrate that data and bring it to you and to your clients wherever you need it. We are a partner-centric organization, so we have over 1,200 partners out in the field, and we're servicing over 15,000 customers to date. Two of our products we're going to really dive into today. We have a Scribe Insight, which is our on-premise solution. We've had it for about 18 years. And then Scribe Online, which is our integration platform as a service, and our online integration solution that we're really going to dig into today. So we are speaking to you guys from Manchester, New Hampshire. That's where we're headquartered in the United States, but we also do have offices in Europe managing our EMEA practice. From a client standpoint, we mentioned those 15,000 customers. We're really horizontal in nature. We're in 8 out of the 10 of the largest financial institutions, working with over 65 pro sports teams, very heavy in the SMB space, both in manufacturing and services. And we've recently been building out our public sector space, so working very closely with education, government sectors, and the works. So for those of you who are end users, or for those of you who have end users that you're looking to do integration for, there really isn't an industry or there isn't a vertical that we aren't already working in or that we can't really address. So for most of you today, this looks like a common data challenge you come across. You know, you have customers, or you are the customer who has access to a multitude of touch points. And we have those common legacy touch points of old days, like catalogs or the internet or a phone, but we have these newer touch points that really didn't exist even 10 years ago. The Twitters, the Facebooks, the LinkedIns, and touch points are constantly evolving as mobile development comes online and new applications come online. And these applications are feeding us the data, customer data, to the applications that we're using to make business decisions as a company. The problem that we run into, though, is that one hand isn't talking to the other hand, or one division or one section of the business isn't aware of what's going on in the other section. So we look sloppy, we look disorganized. And so what we seek to do here with Scribe and with data integration is to flow that data across an organization so that when you're a sales guy, you're on the phone with your customer, you're aware if they have a support ticket or a case out with your support team, or you're aware of a marketing event that they maybe recently attended and some activities that they did there. It really helps you give that 360-degree view of your client, helps you give a better client experience and overall customer satisfaction, ultimately improving ROI for your company. So integration as a whole needs to change, and this is something that we're really working to do as a company and push out to the environment. It needs to be multi-point. It no longer can be A to B. It has to touch multiple functions of your business, multiple divisions of your business, and really be a true integration solution in order for your company to be truly integrated. It has to be collaborative. I mean, gone are the days where you can say that's an IT initiative, that they're going to handle it. It has to be something that everyone is equally on board and equally vested with. So all partners involved, IT themselves, your end user, and your client, everybody has to be equally vested and willing to participate and work with this in order for this to be a collaborative effort that is successful. And lastly, it needs to be flexible. We're coming into this age of best-of-breed solutions, so we're kind of moving away from suite mentalities and moving into a mix and match of applications and database to give ourselves, us as a business, the best case and the best success we can. So we start coming up with new applications, new locations for the applications. So we're seeing hybrid environments, on-premise, in the cloud, a mix of the two. There's new endpoints here that we didn't have to connect into before. So integration needs to be able to accommodate all of those different endpoints and all the different locations where your data is housed to be able to integrate your data and bring it wherever you need to. So some of the beliefs that we have here is data does fuel everything. Data doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. And by having more data on your customer, more information, you can make better decisions, offer up a better service and a better experience to your client, and improve your ROI for both yourselves and your client. Anywhere now, I mean, we're a society of instant demand. We want data as soon as it's available, wherever we are, wherever we reside. And with that, we can integrate your data real time. We can bring it from multiple endpoints and bring it to you wherever you may be, whether it be on the road, in the office, behind a firewall, or just logging in through a browser client. That's some of the premises that we believe here. And lastly, we want it to be simplistic. We don't want you to have to be able to code or script or do a lot of manual effort or data duplication. We want this to be easy for you. We want this to be real time, and we want this to be simplistic. So we have two solutions that we feel do that. Scribe Insight, we talked about this. This is our on-premise enterprise-grade solution. Really built this out 18 years ago to integrate your front office, your back office. Works fantastic with a lot of legacy solutions, on-premise heavy applications, or those larger clients who have huge data volumes that they need to integrate overnight or in a short period of time. Scribe Online, though, is something we built 3 years ago, and that's what we're going to dig in today. And that's really addressed to handle where the market's going, where we're seeing the shift. There's this big proliferation of the cloud between Microsoft and other CRM providers out there, as well as other ERP applications that are popping up, and the need to integrate these and make these flexible and make these able to bring your data wherever you need it to lie. And that's something that the online platform was done. So quick high level, and then we'll get into the online tool and give you guys a demonstration. Scribe Insight. This is, again, our on-premise solution, really meant to integrate your CRMs, your ERP, so PeopleSoft, your SAPs, tied into your Dynamics, your Salesforce, whatever you may be doing. Simplicity is key. We want to simplify the complex environments that you're going to be working with. You may have a clunky ERP behind a firewall and then a CRM online hosted in the cloud. We want to be able to simplify that for you, streamline that for you, and integrate that seamlessly. Again, we talked about not having to code. We talked about not having to know how to script. That's something that we do here. We have a very easy-to-use, intuitive user interface, a lot of drag-and-drop modules, and a really simplistic designer that you don't have to have a lot of background coding experience to use. So you're able to work with these complex environments and make a very simplistic solution that's quick in half the time that you can roll out across your enterprise. Our online platform, again, this is something that's done as a service. So it's something that's predictable, looking at more of that operational expense versus the capital expense, something you can do monthly, something you can do annually, something you can predict for. It's a very intuitive UI. It's even more intuitive than our 18-year-old product. Nate's going to show you that. It's modeled after a Scratch program language, which was developed by MIT. So a lot of it's going to look like moving puzzle pieces onto a canvas. It's going to look very easy to use, and it's something that you as a client or you as an end user can understand what was done by your partner. And it's easy to do troubleshooting, error reporting, and really just makes it very scalable and very simplistic. This is something that's really changing the way we integrate data and the way that the integration space is even working today, because we're able to work with those complex environments, those hybrid environments, those on-premise, those hosted in the cloud environments, and really just make something that is repeatable and easy to use. So I'm going to turn it over to Nate, and Nate's going to take you through our connector ecosystem, talk to you a little bit about the architecture behind this, how this actually works technically, where all your data resides, and how we're making this stand up for you. And then we'll talk more into what we're connecting into and what we can do for you. So, Nate?
Thank you, Evan. My name is Nate Keefe. I'm a sales engineer with Scribe Software, and I want to take you guys a little bit deeper into how we're really building out these integrations. So, one of our main goals, one of the integration scenarios that we see with a lot of our customers is taking these cloud, silos of data and other applications out there and integrating it with CRM. And so the way that we're doing that easily through our platform is we're building out these connectors to all these different applications out there so that we can move data bidirectionally between that application, CRM, or even those other two applications together so that we can enrich all of that data and get that 360-degree view of the customer. So our connectors are really spread out into three categories. So we have application connectors, which work with those APIs of those applications. They have an SDK for the supported way to integrate to CRM. So we've built out connectors that talk with those SDKs. So you can kind of look at the list here. Most of the connectors for applications that we have are listed here. And when we don't have a connector, we have some options. So if it's an on-premise software, we can use our technology connectors and go through the back-end database, whether it's a SQL server, whether it's MySQL. We have an OData REST web service connector as well. And then the last type of connectors that we have are third-party connectors. So those applications that Scribe hasn't built connectors for, we've had other VARs and ISVs build out connectors for them. So, the SilverPop team has actually built a connector for their platform for integrations with other CRM systems. So if you're watching this live, this is a pretty up-to-date listing. If you're watching the recorded version, we have a link to our website that will actually show you all of our different connectors out there. So the next, I just wanted to highlight some of the connectors that you might use based on kind of the client base that we're talking to today. So for Dynamics CRM, we're working through their API, so we get the full range of all of their business rules with integrations. So we know that when we're looking to create accounts from an ERP system, let's say, we're going to know what those required fields are so that we're using those business rules in incorporation with our integrations. So we'll support CRM 2011 and 2013 with any deployment type. So it can be online, it can be on-premise, or it could be hosted. And really, we're exposing virtually all of the entities to you. And those include your custom entities. Those include kind of your own apps that you've created for CRM. So we're going to be able to use all of that in incorporation with the integration. The other one we wanted to talk about was our Dynamics GP connector. This is for Dynamics GP 2013. So we're actually going to be supporting for multi-companies, multi-tenant environments, and we're exposing, the customer master, the general ledger, items, basically everything that you need to really create a sales order processing integration. So I don't have to take my accounts from CRM and import them to GP or send over an email that we have a new customer. I'm going to use Scribe, and it's automatically going to sync those new accounts or those touched accounts every time. And we're doing that through basically 3 technologies: the database itself, through eConnect and the web services. And so this is all going to happen seamlessly to a user who's designing these integrations. And of course, we are developer friendly. So we've actually built out with our Scribe Online platform, we have a CDK, which is a connector development kit. So this would allow you, if you have your own custom web service, or maybe there's a product that you're working with that has an API but it doesn't have a connector, we've actually built out a connector development kit with tutorials on how to build out connectors, what's required with those. And additionally, Scribe Online has its own web service. So if you want to start calling integrations from your custom application, we have a help tutorial here that shows you what are the calls that you can make, what's the data you can get back from Scribe Online. And so now I'll kind of talk you through the architecture for how it all works so you can get an idea of how Scribe Online can work for you with your business. So we've called it Scribe Online because you're going to be logging into a web portal through your laptop or your desktop at work, and you're going to be building out your integrations and managing integrations and setting up alerts. So the whole technology stack of Scribe Online is hosted. So anytime we have software updates, we just update the cloud, and everybody can have the new features that we have. So when you're working with on-premise applications, the way that we're going to connect into those is through what we call an agent. And so an agent is basically this lightweight Windows service that you download. It's a 20 megabyte download and probably a 5-minute install. And so this would be installed behind your firewall on some desktop that has connections to whatever your on-premise app is, whether it's a Dynamics GP, whether it's a SQL Server database, or even just a file directory for text files that you want to import into. So the way the user would configure maps, it would send down that map to this agent, and that agent would be actually what's integrating those 2 apps. So if I want to do an on-premise to on-premise integration, this is how that architecture would look. Now, if I'd like to integrate that on-premise data to the cloud, to my CRM system, that agent is going to be able to push and pull data from its location. So this kind of illustrates how this agent is moving the data and not necessarily going through the Scribe Online cloud. Additionally, we can use that on-premise agent to connect to cloud endpoints or other endpoints that we connect to. And lastly, we can also host that agent for you if you're integrating to cloud applications. So now I'll kind of take you in. I'll show you some of the use case scenarios as well as our product to kind of go through showing you how our platform, it's multi-user, it's all drag and drop designing. You're not going to need to know how to code to develop with Scribe Online. So the first example that I'd like to show you is I'm in CRM right now, and I have an integration set up in the background that what happens is when I go to this account, it's going to pull data from my ERP system. So kind of getting that whole 360-degree view of my customer, I need to know information about that customer. If I'm looking to call them, I need to know if they're on a credit hold. So you're actually going to see here, when I click on this customer, there's going to be some fields that will be populated by an integration. And so these fields, these could be whatever type of data you want. So we could go into GP and we can look and see what their credit limit is, or if they're on, a credit hold, or when was their last invoice. And so right over here, you see the ERP feed. I just have it searching, so it's sending this data to Scribe. And now you can see this information came right back from our GP system here. So this is information that a GP, a finance user at my company, has control over. And so these are all read-only to my CRM users. And so this is all kind of in real time populating my CRM form. So there's different use cases for this. So I can get just general information about that account, but I could also use it for my products and items. So I can see how many products I have on hand at that exact time that I'm filling out that quote. Another scenario is, kind of talking about that sales order processing where I have sales users quoting and sending out, an order. That needs to be integrated to the ERP system so that my finance users can invoice them. So when I look at this account here, I'll be able to see what are their orders that I've actually filled out for them, as well as what are those invoices that my finance team has sent out to them. So I have control over what my account is ordering, and my finance team has control over what are their invoicing. So this is all integrated between the two apps, and so I can see those stages so that I know when I call this company, I need to know if they're on a credit hold, I need to know if they've paid their last invoice, etc. So how do we make this all happen? We're using our Scribe Online platform. So on the platform, you'll have a login to your company's subscription, and you'll be able to manage your integrations here. You're going to be building them. You're going to be setting up alerts. And this is a multi-user environment. So not only could I have my partner at Crestwood come in here and help me build out my integrations, but I can invite my GP guru in here or my CRM guru in here. And it's all kind of done here through this users tab. We can just go and we can invite all these users that we want, basically via their email address. And we have all different types of navigation on here, so I know I can go and set up my agent. I can go and set up my connections to my SQL server. I can set it up to my GP server. Any of those connectors that we saw, I'll be able to use to create a connection to it. And lastly, we have a marketplace where you'll be able to go out and download other connectors that Scribe has released, other connectors that some of our partners and other VARs and ISVs have released as well. And so these will work with our different services, and you'll see that all of the Scribe connectors here, these are all free. There's some connectors out there for some of these third-party apps that they might require a small paid token for. And so it's as easy as really just clicking the install and getting that new connector, and now I can start integrating that data with the platform. So we have two different main types of services with Scribe Online. We have a replication service, which is used for getting a copy of your CRM data locally into a database so that you can use that for business intelligence, reporting, or even data warehousing. And so that's a really out-of-the-box solution for getting your net new changes, for managing fleets, and just getting that copy. The other service, which we're really diving into today, is our integration service. And with the integration service, I'm able to create bidirectional integrations where I can kind of pick and choose the endpoints that I want to integrate. So I can use event-based solutions. So that's like when we looked at, as a user in CRM, when I open up that form, I'm able to see the data in real time. Other integrations, when I'm looking at synchronizing items and products with CRM, I'll create a schedule for that. So I can run it every hour or every 10 minutes to actually go out and get those changes. So I've developed a schedule-based solution between GP and CRM. I've chosen that agent that I've installed on my GP server. I know that that agent has connectivity to both of my endpoints. And I've set up maps that are actually going to integrate that data. So from the maps section, I could actually import in pre-built maps that either Scribe has built for a use case scenario, maybe my partner has some pre-built maps based on our requirements, and I'd be able to manage all those maps here. I'll see what order they're going to run in, so I can set precedents that all of my customers and items are synced before I start doing sales order processing. And the last step is really to schedule that once it's completed, to put it on a recurring basis so that I know that I can run this every weekday, Monday through Friday, every 30 minutes. So for developing the maps, it's actually quite easy. So this is what we've been talking about with our visual UI. So I have a map here that's going to go from my source connection of CRM to my target connection of Great Plains. And I have these different colored blocks that represent the operations I can use against that connection. So what I did here first is when I selected my CRM connection, I pulled out a query block and I dropped it on the palette. And so that shows me this is what this integration is going to start with. It has a query for my CRM accounts. And I went in, I configured this. I want to go to the account entity. And with our CRM connector, you have all of those entities that are exposed here, including custom entities. And I chose that I only want to get the records that have been modified since the last time this solution ran. And lastly, I was also able to pull in those customer addresses from those accounts so that I can push those into GP as well. So visually, just reading through my integration, for each result, meaning for every account that I get, I'm going to perform some operations. So I pulled out the lookup block from GP to make a lookup into GP to see if that customer existed. And I can use whatever type of criteria I want. If I want to match based on an account number, if I want to match based on multiple fields, or if I'm sharing keys. Then I've used a control block, and that's what's actually allowing me to choose and make decisions for what I want this integration to do. So I've used an if-else block, and I've just pulled it out and defined criteria here that actually say, did that lookup return any results? So if it found any results, it's going to go to this if branch, and if it doesn't have any results, it's going to go to the else branch. So I went in here and defined different operations to do depending on what my lookup returned. So when I want to create a customer because it does not exist, I went to GP. I've defined this is the thing that I want to create. I want to create a customer. And then I've mapped over some fields that will actually allow me to translate the data from CRM over to GP. And so this is where I'm able to actually drag and drop fields from CRM to GP, and that's kind of my formula over to the target. So you can auto-map fields based on the same names. You can drag and drop your own fields, or kind of similar to Excel, you can write your own formulas in here. So I can not only just map the account number, but I can choose to say that I want this account number if it contains a certain value, or I can concatenate multiple values together to really make this account number what I want to be mapped into GP. So we have all different types of functions in here that allow you to change the data before you move it. And with all these functions comes a description of how to use it, examples of how it's used, and I can make sure that if I have a syntax error, I'll get a validation error. So I'll actually see in here, my cursor's moved here, I have an invalid name here as well. So I can actually make this change, and it'll actually validate for me. After I have my map, completed, it's the way I want it to look. I don't have any errors or warnings, meaning there's no scribe problems here with pushing this data into GP. I can actually go through and debug this map, meaning I can test it out before I actually put it on that recurring process. So when I debug this, I'm actually going to go through this map one operation at a time. For each account that I get, tell me how I'm going to look up that customer using my formula and using that live data. Then perform the lookup as we go to the next step. And it'll actually take you through these correct branches, and it will actually perform those operations on GP. So I can actually look in GP and see, oh, that's what it's going to do, and I can be a little bit more comfortable with this. So I can either go through step by step. I can say I just want to run it until it encounters an error, or I can set breakpoints to say I want to go to the map all the way down here, and then I want to set a breakpoint. So I can kind of save some time there instead of going through all those different operations. So debug is going to help you test your maps, but it's also really nice for debugging when your maps encounter errors. So errors would be if I'm creating a sales order in GP or an environment that has required fields and I don't populate that required field. So using that kind of business logic, GP is going to say, we can't create your sales order because your required field of the customer is missing. So this is really nice to actually go into where you had a live integration and debug that process to see what operation that error occurred in. So thinking through our architecture, when I'm completed this and I want to save it, it'll actually go through, I'll save it, and it's going to send down that code to my agent. That agent is now going to know I need to run this integration every 30 minutes, Monday through Friday. And so that's going to do that until I come into Scribe Online and change it again. After it's running kind of on that schedule, all of my users will be able to set up their own alerts. So I can set up to receive an alert if that integration has any issues. I can set up an alert if my agent goes offline, since that's powering the integration. So I'll be able to know without just logging into Scribe Online what's actually happening kind of behind the scenes. So the last thing to kind of talk about is that for common use case scenarios, Scribe has built starter packs. So if you're looking to migrate off of Salesforce to Dynamics CRM, we have a starter pack for that. So you don't have to go through and build out those mappings and those logic for every scenario. You can kind of start with a group of mappings. So here is an example with a diagram of a GP 2013 and Dynamics CRM integration. And this kind of shows the different tables that we're going to integrate. What are the operations? So I know that for new and updated customers or accounts, those will be synced bidirectionally, whereas items, new and updated items in GP will work one way into my CRM product catalog. And so these are kind of out of the box, so you can change these, you can customize these, you can remove maps or edit them.
So one of the things we'd like to do is always make sure we're providing you, the client, or the partner, a lot of resources at your fingertips in order to be successful and just kind of learn more about this. And so we encourage you to visit our website. We are always updating that with relevant content, case studies, demonstration videos we've done. We have an integrator blog, which isn't so much just about Scribe, it's about the integration industry as a whole. So as thought leadership articles come up, or new trends that are emerging pop up, or new industry news, that's put into our integrator blog for you to read and digest. We also have a way for you to sign up for RSS feed, so as we update that content, you're immediately notified through email. YouTube is a great way to just see, hey, what are some of the webinars and demos we've done recently for you guys to learn more without actually having to set up a deep dive. And we're constantly doing monthly training sessions for both of our products if one interests you more than the other. And we are always very active on social as well, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, the works. So some of the common use cases that people are utilizing our product for, obviously the first is data migrations. They want to move, maybe they want to move CRM on-prem to online as Microsoft makes this dynamic shift to bringing their CRM user base to the online market. Maybe you want to move off of some of your legacy or homegrown solutions or CRM systems you have internally to something that's more current or modern. You know, maybe it's a CRM or a different CRM solution. You can move off of those and use our migration tools to do so. Integrating best of breeds. We mentioned that the environment's changing. A lot of people are bringing in different disparate applications and needing to tie them together. We're doing that every day with our online tool, so you can integrate your various ERPs with online CRMs. Maybe it's marketing automation, or there's some other applications you want to bring into the fold. You can do that very easily with our online tool. And Nate mentioned replication services. This is a big market for us as well. A lot of clients are looking to replicate their online CRM instance down locally so that they can massage the data the way they need to for BI, reporting, predictive analytics, or maybe just to have a backup. And we find that people that are utilizing the RS tool and starting to do some more of their own BI and reporting can actually get more accurate and more robust reporting than what you can do natively built into the CRM application through Microsoft. We have a lot of franchises and a lot of other clients that are standardizing on us, so it's not just a one integration solution for one company at a time. We have franchises out there. We have a lighting and a food industry franchise that is standardized on us so that they now have Scribe at every single franchise and are able to bring that franchise up in minutes whenever a new one pops up because they already have the pre-built maps and the pre-built integration solutions out there. So there's so many different use cases for our integration tools. that are out there. So some of the most frequently asked questions, I know we're going to get to questions shortly. How is it sold or how is it licensed? Well, a lot of this obviously depends on the specific use case that you have internally, user accounts, and what you're looking to do the tool for. But Scribe Online, we mentioned that's subscription-based, and that's going to be based on data consumption. So there'll be a monthly and an annual cost for that, depending on your fiscal components internally and how you want to set that up. So we can set up a monthly or an annual subscription for you to run that on integration service year-round. Scribe Insight, it is still a perpetual license. It's a server-based tool that we provide you the licenses for, and you can set it up on a server internally there. And both of these, depending on what your use case are and what you're looking to do, we'd be happy to talk to you more about what that pricing would look like for you. Whenever you buy our tool, kind of on what's included, whenever you buy the tool, all of our Scribe-built connectors, adapters, Nate showed you the starter pack, templates, those are all going to be included in the platform. If there are connectors or adapters that our partners have built, like Nate mentioned our CDK, those are things that there may be a purchase for that because it is the IP of our partner, but it is something that you can also have access to so that if it is relevant to your business use case, absolutely there. As well as all support. So if you're with Scribe Online, all of your support is included. All your support is going to be free, and we're going to make sure that that's included whenever you're purchasing our platform. For those of you on the line that maybe are familiar with us, have our Insight product or an older customer for us, and you're looking to see, hey, is there a way for me to move to Scribe Online? There absolutely is. There is a fiscal path for us to do that, and we can take you through what that upgrade would look like, depending on how current you are in your maintenance and what you have internally and what you're looking to get into for Scribe Online. Unfortunately, right now, there isn't a way to bring over those maps, those files you've pre-built with Insight into Online, but hopefully that's something that might be forthcoming as well. So if you do have questions, Jennifer is on the line. She can make sure that she gets in contact with you with your appropriate account manager at Crestwood to talk to you about that, your integration options and different solutions. My contact information is here, as well as our account executive for your region is here as well. We encourage you to try the product. We are always having online trials available for you. Those are free as well. Try the product out. Ask us any questions if you do, and feel free to follow up. So at this point, Jennifer, if there are any questions in the panel there, we'd be happy to answer those, and as well as anybody on the line, if you do have questions, feel free to ask them at this time.
Thanks, guys. I don't see any in there yet, but it could be that people are typing. I'll also go ahead and unmute everybody, so if they do have a question, they can ask verbally.
And with that, we'll give you guys 20 minutes back in your day, and we thank you very much for spending an hour with us.
Thanks, guys. After we close the webinar, too, a short little survey will pop up, and it's appreciated if you could take a minute and answer the questions just so that we can continue to provide some valuable webinars. Thanks, Evan and Nate. Have a good day. Thanks, everyone, for attending.